Now, let's talk Philadelphia Eagles, New England Patriots. And as always, I like to set the table to see what happens in this one, right? 1.5 it opened up offshore, Kyle, at Pinnacle as a favorite towards the Patriots. Here in New Jersey at FanDuel, a -2.5 towards the Patriots. Late game movement on game day, Kyle, now has the Philadelphia Eagles sitting here at a -1 to 1.5 at some outlets, depending on where you're shopping. Also, the over-under. Offshore opened up at 37. Pinnacle now showing a 38. New Jersey opened up with FanDuel at 36.5, now showing a 39 and as high as 39.5 at DraftKings. So what does that tell us, Kyle? More starters playing more minutes, and also no real rainy conditions here in Philadelphia, as we had that tropical storm brush by last night and dump a lot of rain. Looks like everything is cleared out, good conditions, warm weather, and ready to go. So I'm going to start with you first in this, Kyle, because, picks, plays in the preseason, that's why the line is one, folks. Like, there's no decided effort, and you don't know how long these guys are going to play, because as Kyle probably bring up as well, let's just say Jalen Hurts starts. First drive of the game, Kyle. 6 of 7, 82 yards on 82 yards total, a touchdown. Hey, guys, you look good. Why don't you come out here and don't get injured for the rest of the game? That's always a tough part. But just looking at it, if you're reading line movement, I guess the Eagles are the play at this point. But to me, I don't have a clear-cut, concise pass forward on what we can expect here tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, anyone who says they do are just flat out lying. They're insane. They're smoking crack, because you can't get a clear. Again, it's a bunch of players that most people won't even have heard of by the third quarter comes along. You have no idea who's doing what. You have nothing but vanilla schemes. These guys aren't going to go out there and show you what their scripted 15 plays are going to be week 1 of the NFL season. And they're certainly on the defensive side of the ball. Their defensive coordinator, Gannon, I want to say, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. Gannon. He's already said, look, I want to see effort. We're not going to put any of our schemes out. And one of the things that the Eagles are good at is putting pressure on the quarterback with those different schemes up front. It's the strength of their defense. You're not going to necessarily see that tonight. But I think that line movement's a lot of the articles have talked about, the Eagles have looked a little bit better this week, kind of some ugly days of practice, making fun of Cam Newton, calling him the check down king, which it's funny to me that he gets mad. What the hell else do you do, Cam Newton?
Exactly.
But you can't call him the check down king, because don't you have to be good at check downs? He's the incomplete check down king. He's the guy that goes to hit a 4-yard route and the ball bounces, 3 fucking yards behind him. Like, he's not the king of anything. He's the king of the 2-yard quarterback dive in the goal line. That is what Cam Newton is the king of. So it's tough for me to lean the over on this. Now, one thing that does scare me for the over is the Eagles will eventually have Nick Mullins in this game. And Nick Mullins is always, he's 2.5 seconds away from a pick six on every attempt. That's just the bottom line. So I lean the under, because I don't like necessarily any of the offenses, whether it's Hurts and Flacco on the Eagles side or Cam and Mac Jones. Look, if Mac Jones isn't beating out Cam Newton in training camp to be the starting quarterback, you can't feel that great about him playing great tonight, because Cam Newton's, we all know it. It's no secret that Cam Newton is as incompetent in the pocket as a throwing quarterback in the NFL as you're going to find. So I'm not expecting great quarterback play. I do think the defenses will be solid. The thing that would concern, I do lean the under. Unders have been pretty dominant here in the preseason. I'll lean the under here. I suppose you're getting two. How would you rate it? Cam and Mac Jones versus Flacco and Hurts.
I think it's good. Yeah,
it's close,
think it's good,
right? It's close. Yeah. So, I would lean the under in this game. I'm not putting any money on this one. It was a little bit tough for me. I'm just not exactly sure where the points are going to come from. The thing that would concern me is when it does get sloppy, are those interceptions by Nick Mullins pick sixes? Do we get some fumbles, some mishandled snaps, etc., which could result in some points? We saw it last week. I got lucky to get the under in that Washington-New England game.
Yeah,
it was well under, and then it got kind of ugly there late in the game, and they got close to pushing that over. It's preseason, so if you're going to bet it, do it with a grain of salt. Don't throw the whole mortgage at it. Do it just to add a little bit of excitement to the game. And, maybe some like turnover props, or no, they won't score on this drive when Nick Mullins comes in, that sort of thing, live betting it if they offer it. But yeah, for me, it's a slight lean to the under. Too tough to pick a side.
Yeah, it's interesting here because I think you're going to get really good quarterback play tonight because the vanilla schemes on offense, yes, but also we're talking about defense. You're not going to put a lot on tape. Joe Flacco's been around the block. He should be able to operate as he did last week and, put up some points or at least some scoring drives. Jalen Hurts has a lot to prove. Then you flip it over. Cam Newton is trying to hang on to that starting job. And also if you couple that with him hanging on to that job, Mac Jones as well. I think you're going to get 4 legitimate NFL quarterbacks in this game for vanilla schemes on defenses. Now, the one thing coming from the Philadelphia Eagles practice here with the New England Patriots here in Philadelphia, the one thing that was absolutely clear, the Eagles defensive line was kicking the hell out of the Patriots front line. So if we're looking at that from maybe a competitive advantage here on this point, look, I mean, Cam Newton's back there, not the greatest passer. Maybe he has to use his legs a little bit more. Maybe Mac Jones will come in with the 2s by the time that front line for the Philadelphia Eagles is out. So something to keep an eye on. And also remember last week, the Eagles looked really good in the first half, but not so good in the second half as the Steelers were able to be the better football team. We see a lot of that with the Patriots, similar to what we saw last week as well. A couple long runs from some running backs. That's probably what you're going to see. I agree with the over on the move up from week 1. We're seeing like 32s, 33s. Now we're getting to 38.5s and 39s this week. I think you're going to get good quarterback play tonight against vanilla schemes on defense, and I think that can play into it. Also, what I'd like to look at as well, you're not in a quarterback battle, so to speak, in Philadelphia, Kyle. And what I mean by that is Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback. He'll be the starter week 1, but he still has a lot to prove. So he knows being in front of the Philadelphia fans, new coaching staff, he has to perform tonight. But the same thing with Joe Flacco, who's a capable NFL quarterback. That's never a bad thing to happen. You're right. Nick Mullins comes in. He can spin it, but as Jason Avant said on a podcast this week, former Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver, he spins it to the wrong team quite a bit, which can be boom or bust at that point. But then looking on the opposite side with the New England Patriots, Cam Newton wants to win that job. I think he's going to play well. Mac Jones wants to win the job. He's going to play well. And also when you keep a look at some of these quarterbacks, Mac Jones is going to get a better look, I suppose, than Cam Newton, specifically with play-wise. He needs the snaps. Cam Newton doesn't need the snaps tonight. He's been around the league for a decade, MVP candidate. Not to say he's the same player he was in Carolina in 2015, because clearly he's not. But I do think you're going to get some good schemes tonight and some calls. I expect there to be some points. Now, who's going to win the game? I saw somebody in the chat box say maybe the Eagles first half. I do think the Eagles will put up a pretty good fight in the first half. Then as the second half goes on, maybe the Patriot way kicks in. But I'm looking forward to this night. I think we get a pretty good ball game tonight with 2 decently efficient offenses. And again, we're only talking about 38 points in this one. I think they can get there, Kyle. So your final touches on this game. Who do you think is going to be, the better side of it, the game? Because, again, it's a 1-point line. Hey, big movement here. Yeah, 2-1, the opposite side. Congratulations on that. But it will be interesting. How you feeling about this game before we wrap up this one?
It's tough. So I don't think either team cares about winning. I mean, the Patriots notoriously do not care about the preseason. If you go back to their undefeated year, they famously went 0-4 in the preseason, just looked god-awful. And, you go to those Detroit Lions teams that went winless. They won all 4 of their games in the preseason. So I don't think there's a ton it's not that Mike Tomlin syndrome, right, that we talked about where he wants to win at all costs. It doesn't matter what's happening. I'm not necessarily sure that's that way for either side. We kind of saw that with the Eagles last week. Looked sensational in the first half, looked good. We're dominating that game, and then it was just who gave a damn. And, here's a heavy dose of Nick Mullins as he throws the game away. So I'm not sure either team has a huge appetite for the win. You're more optimistic than I am. I think this will be a little bit tougher to watch. It's hard for me to ever say I think I get good quarterback play out of Cam Newton today. That's just that for me. I don't know. I just don't trust it. So I will lean the under. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's a low total. It's a total. If you're going to bet the over, obviously you want to do it in this preseason because we're not getting 39.5s and 38.5s in the regular season. There's almost a 0% chance that happens outside of a horrific weather game. So now's the time to do it. I'd still lean the under until I start seeing these guys look really sharp. Not 2 quarterback rooms I like all that much. Flacco, Mullins, Hurts, one of the worst in the league in my opinion. Newton, Jones, and whatever hell else they want to throw out. Is it still what's his name, the backup from last year that everyone wanted to see?
Yeah, Stidham and the boys, all those guys.
Stidham. Thank you, Jarrett Stidham. Yeah. So I mean, come on, these are 2 badly bad. These are 2 of the bottom 5 quarterback rooms in all of football. So I'm not sure how good the points are. So I'll lean the under. Way too tough. I just don't see either side giving a damn all that much about who wins or loses this game.
Yeah, but I know they're bad quarterbacks, but they're all NFL guys. That outside of Mac Jones, he's a first rounder. So that's the way I like to look at it, to say, hey, no matter who comes in the game, they've probably seen some NFL action. And all you want is competent drives. And also what we saw, Kyle, from the previous week, a lot of teams going with, backup kickers, which is ridiculous.
Yes.
35-yard field goals were a travesty. Now you might not see that in week 2 or week 3 here, where you might be able to factor in an extra 6 points here.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. It is a good point. The kickers are a full possession. We talk about this all the time. I don't know. It's still preseason. God, some of the kickers that come out, I'm like, holy crap! I'd never heard of this guy in my life. And of course, they miss it 50 yards to the right. And I've already lost one team total this year on a damn couple missed kicks by a kicker. So we're in midseason form. So yeah, watch out for those kickers. I feel a whole lot better holding that under bag when there's a missed extra point than the over one. That's for damn sure.